Welcome to another great episode of the Wealth Witch podcast. This bonus episode comes to you fresh off the heels of Leah Steele's latest 3-hour masterclass, Reignite Your Soul Fire. Today's episode is part 1 of a 2-part series. Be sure to tune in next Saturday to catch the second half of this incredible masterclass.
This is Leah Steele, aka The Wealth Witch, and this is my podcast. I'm here to activate you to remembrance of your divine birthright to be wealthy in all areas of your life. This podcast is for people ready to have controversial conversations about the financial control, manipulation, and tyranny that faces humanity today.
I'm gonna live in freedom. I'm gonna live my destiny. I'm gonna live my freedom. I'm gonna live, the time is right now.
The Wealth Witch. It's for the people who are ready to wake up, deconstruct their wealth programming, and free themselves from the financial slavery consciousness that serves the global financial agenda. I'm committed to realizing a new global wealth paradigm where economic freedom is the reality and where you get to design and live the life of your dreams. Now let's do the damn thing. If you're here and you're watching on the replay and you were a first timer, welcome to the community. We're so happy to have you. I'm super excited about this masterclass tonight, you guys. So I guess I'm just going to talk a little bit here in the beginning about what my journey's been like over the last 6 months. And I think it's important to tell a little bit of this backstory because it is, what brought me to the place that I am right now. It's what inspired me to do this masterclass. And I think it's pretty relevant for all of the stuff that we're going to be talking about and covering tonight. So, I have been, I've worked in the helping professions for over 20 years. And my family business was addiction treatment. So I worked in addiction treatment centers for a long time as a consultant, always on the business side. My mom was a therapist and a counselor. And so she did the therapy and counseling side, and I did business administration, marketing, business development, and worked for several different companies, consulted for several different companies, and ultimately ended up having my own addiction treatment programs, a sober living home, and then an outpatient treatment program. And while, very rewarding in some ways, helping people overcome addictions is powerful work in the world. But it wasn't my soul mission. It wasn't my mission. Certainly, I think it was my mother's, and it was the family business. So it was something I sort of ended up falling into after I had Josiah, who's my oldest son. But it is a big part of my story and my journey because working in addiction treatment and seeing people transform their lives from, some of the deepest, darkest places that human beings can be, seeing people lift themselves up out of that darkness and out of those shadows and be able to face those and then re-enter into the world and live successful, productive lives was very inspiring to me. And both of my parents were addicts and alcoholics. And so I grew up in homes that were really riddled with addiction. And it runs very, very heavily in my family. I escaped it, luckily, myself. I like to laugh and say not for lack of trying. I just don't have an addictive personality. It skipped my generation, luckily, which means probably I'm in for it with my sons, but we'll see. Hopefully we can educate them enough to know when to say when and when to have limits. So addiction treatment played a big role in this business that I'm in now, in just that I was inspired to see people transform their lives. But it wasn't my soul calling. It wasn't my mission work. It wasn't what I was on this planet to do. And as a result of that, even though my businesses were very successful, I was pretty miserable. I didn't like going to work. I didn't really like what I was doing. I really loved my clients and I loved, like I said, seeing that transformation in them. It wasn't It didn't ignite my fire. It didn't make me feel like, it didn't inspire me to show up and do the work, even when I was tired, or even when I was exhausted, or even when I didn't want to. And so I started sort of moonlighting. I was still running those businesses, but I started, exploring, helping women tap into individual spirituality was sort of the first thing that I did in my business. And that was I would say that was probably the end of 2014 that I started kind of hosting these little women's circles and little courses and little classes at my house. And that went on until 2016. And 2016 is really when I sort of, I guess, officially launched the Leah Steele brand and went all in on this business, this coaching business that has now changed and grown and evolved to what it is right now. And I would say since then, since 2016, I've only had a couple of periods of time where I felt like I was in a funk or I was in a plateau of some kind. I've been very, very blessed in my business because I have been so passionate about following my purpose and my passions and, coming back into radical alignment with what I believe my purpose work is or what I believe my divine mission work is. I think I've avoided a lot of the plateaus and a lot of the, these places where people kind of fall into these funks. I've avoided a lot of that. And even when it has happened, I think the longest one that I can remember up until this most recent one, which is what I'm getting to, the longest one that I can remember, I think was about 3.5 weeks. And that was probably I'd say that was sometime in 2019. And what happened on the other side of that was a new program dropping in, sort of a reinvention of my brand and my business, a rejuvenation, a refreshing of the work that I was doing in the world, and a much heavier focus on the wealth alchemy side of my business, which is probably how the majority of you know me from Ouroboros and from Mastering Your Spiritual Money Game and all the wealth alchemy work that I do in the world. And during those periods of time, when I would have these little, what I would refer to, I just would call them being in a funk. I would feel like I was in a funk. I'd feel uninspired. I'd feel like nothing was really exciting me that much. I wasn't really driven, wasn't inspired to show up. And that's something for me that has actually come quite easily all along this business, the discipline and consistency and showing up and doing the work and doing the thing, even when I didn't feel like it. These are all the things that you'll hear me say. And that did come quite easily, except for when I was in these periods of where I would have these lulls. But again, didn't happen very often. Well, cut to about 6 months ago. And I really started to feel this. And it didn't start out, I guess it didn't really start out with me feeling like I wasn't inspired. I just started kind of having more of a numbness or a dull feeling around what I was doing. I started being very, very uninspired by Facebook and really all social media, actually. Yeah, I would scroll and, I think I said even in the lead page for this masterclass, I just was finding myself very, very disheartened with humanity. And, that's a difficult place for me. It's a real catch-22 because I have a deep, deep, deep love for humanity as a whole. And as a race of beings, I have a deep love and a lot of compassion and a deep desire to see us as a species ascend and evolve and grow. And, I really, truly believe that we're all here on this planet to achieve divine human and, to achieve infinite potential, right? Which to me, I feel like really is we come here for this experience so we can experience divine and human potential, whatever the infinite is of that we're able to experience in this lifetime on this planet. That's what I believe that we're here to do. And I've always been really inspired to help humanity get to that place, especially since starting this business. for me, what that's really looked like is I feel like the programming and conditioning that we receive is the place where I can make the greatest impact. So helping people deconstruct financial slavery consciousness, helping people deconstruct programming and conditioning around money, wealth, and abundance and worthiness and deserving. That really seems to be where I can make my greatest mark. And so that's the place that I focus on for the most part. But there's this other side of me that has a deep disappointment in humanity. And so I can look at the collective and be like, oh, I've got this deep love for the collective. It's really difficult for me with individuals. So I can get very, very frustrated and very irritated with individual beings on this planet. And so that's really where I have to keep myself in check and keep coming back to, what's the greater mission for humanity? But what started happening 6 months ago, I'm pretty sure, is that I just became really disgusted with what has been happening in the world and the idiocy of humanity. I'm sitting here going how are we falling for this stuff over and over and over? And started to feel like it doesn't matter how much deprogramming and breaking down conditioning. And it doesn't matter how much work I do, because literally it's I feel like I do the work, I take one step forward, and then it's the collective takes 3 steps back. So I started getting frustrated. And I know that that was a big part of what was happening, but it wasn't fast. This funk that I fell into, I don't really want to call it a funk. I feel like it just was sort of what it ended up being was a reset, certainly. But it was maybe a retreat is a better word. I think what I ended up doing was retreating because of my frustration, because of being disheartened, because of being, just kind of overall annoyed with the trajectory that humanity was taking and feeling like I actually wasn't making that big of a difference anymore. I started retreating. And I stopped showing up the way that I have showed up in this business since 2016. And it maybe didn't appear that way to you guys, because I have this incredible team that takes all my content and repurposes it. And so it probably looked and felt like I was in all the places all the time, but really I wasn't. And I wasn't really doing live streams. And, of course, I was still showing up in my paid containers and delivering my paid program content. And, was still really excited by that work that I was doing. But it was new stuff just wasn't coming to me. And in fact, it's super interesting because, and I think now I'm actually ready to bring this program to the world. But I got this incredible download about this program, Caduceus, and I kept trying to put it out in the world. And I was there was this part of me that deep down was just I'm not giving this to the collective. They're going to waste it. They're not going to even actually take this work and enable it to do what it needs to do. I'm such a strong believer in that when we come together, even tonight on this masterclass, when we come together with a collective vision of, all of us reigniting our soul fire, all of us stepping into, more expanded states of passion, that when we do that, we actually create this incredible, incredible ripple out into the world. And then I've always been this believer. And if you've worked with me privately, I'm always talking about this. It's not your job to know how big the ripple is, right? It's just your job to show up, because we always create a much bigger ripple than we even know we're going to. But with this program, Caduceus, it was so big. And I was I am not giving this to humanity right now. I was really shitty about it. I was no, fuck that. I'm not giving it to them, because they're not going to do what they need to do with it. And then the ripple's not going to be the type of ripple that I want it to be. So I really just was I had the shits with humanity. That's basically that's the best way that I can say it. And I just retreated. And I observed and I watched, and I did launch some programs, and I did, ran another round of Ouroboros, and I learned a lot about myself over the last 6 months. Some of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight. But it was a retreat. It was a massive, massive retreat. And so one of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight is this new energy that's coming in, planetary energy that's coming in. And, all while this was happening and this was going on, we had this Jupiter and Pisces energy happening on the planet. And Jupiter and Pisces energy is very much about the collective. It's the collective energy. And for me, and Jupiter's the planet of expansion, right? So really during that Jupiter and Pisces energy, we could have, as a collective, just grown and expanded. And there could have been a really incredible wave of evolution that happened. But I believe because of what we've been experiencing the last 2 years with the pandemic and everything that's been going on, all the control and manipulation that's been happening to the collective, that Jupiter and Pisces energy, I think, just ended up feeling like muddy, murky, shitty soup to anyone that's energetically tapped in to the collective consciousness. And so I think that, that certainly did not help my feeling disheartened and frustrated with humanity, just really like being entrenched in that very heavy, murky energy of the collective, really heavily influenced by that astrological transit. So, but some things that happened for me were, it was a reset. Certainly it was a reevaluation of everything in my life, every single thing in my life. And it was a call for me to look at where I was not living in alignment with my passion and passion in all areas of my life. And so, and we're going to talk about all of this stuff tonight. And I will share my personal experiences as we're going through, these 10 things that I think are really going to help you reignite your soul fire. And as we're talking about Mercury Retrograde and planetary energy and all of this stuff, I'll be sharing my personal experiences along the way as we go. I guess, what I would say is that I'm feeling much more inspired as I sit here today talking to you. I feel like I am on the precipice of my next huge expansion. I believe that the version of myself that's getting ready to reveal herself is something so much greater than I can even imagine or envision right now. The last couple of weeks I've really started to feel the building of this energy, and it's like, it's getting ready to pop. It's getting ready to explode. So the truth is that I'm doing this masterclass just as much for myself as I am for you, but it felt really important for me to do this masterclass because so many of you have been reaching out to me, telling me that you've been feeling the same way I have over the last 6 months, that you're lacking inspiration, that you're having difficulty finding meaning in the work that you're doing, that you're feeling like maybe your work isn't making a difference anymore, that you're wondering why you're even showing up and doing the things that you're doing. We're all having issues with engagement and reach on social media. And, I'm feeling a lot of frustration from my community. And so as I've been working through these things and as I've been taking these steps for myself and putting these plans in place for myself, I've been thinking a lot about you as well. And so I got inspired to do this masterclass. And so here we are. And I was originally going to charge for it. I'm sure you guys know the story. I was going to charge for it. And then we were actually having a hard time figuring out how much we were going to charge. And typically when I decide to do something, it's like the price comes through straight away. We were having a difficult time figuring out what we were going to charge. And then an email went out that was supposed to go out to my all class pass holders, telling them that they were in. And it actually ended up going out to the whole entire email list. So basically everybody thought it was free. And then I was like, oh my gosh, it's not free. Anyway, we went back and forth. And then ultimately I was just like, you know what, let's just do it for free. And I typically don't do masterclasses like this for free because this is going to be so content heavy and it's a significant amount of time. I think we're probably going to be here 3 hours tonight, maybe 2.5, 3 hours. So, yeah, I just, but it felt important and it felt aligned. And so here we are. And thank you for, taking the time to opt in to this masterclass and coming here and saying yes to soul and desiring to reignite your soul fire. Because I think the more of us that come together and seek inspiration and seek to reignite our soul purpose and light a fire under our own asses, like the better the collective is going to be for that. And I think we have somewhere around, at the moment, 250 people registered for this masterclass. So that's 250 people that are going to be out there very intentionally shifting their energy towards evolving, towards stepping into a better version of themselves. And that does create a tremendous ripple. And part of why we're recording this masterclass is that we are actually going to use it as a welcome to the Leah Steele community. So we're going to repurpose this in several ways. So if you're watching this masterclass later, not on the night it was live or in the week, after it was recorded, welcome to the community. And, it's my hope and my goal. My intention with this was that we would reach 1,000 people with this masterclass. So if you are one of those 1,000 and you're here watching this, thank you for saying yes to soul and opting in. And I will do my job tonight, which is to share a lot of content and hopefully some really, really epic value with you. So I'm going to just pause really quickly and read some of these comments because we have a lot of people commenting. Keep commenting, please. I love these things to be interactive. I am a projector in human design. If you are new to me and you do not know, I'm a 5/1 projector, splenic authority. And so it's really great for me to have the interaction, and these guys are all just looking at their phones and not looking at me. So I'm basically talking to myself in the camera. No, my assistant's over here looking at me. She's like, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. All right. Let's just check the comments really quick, and then we will dive into the first bit of this thing. Everyone just saying, yeah, I feel that, felt the same, felt it on every level, exactly how I feel. You're speaking my mind, 100% retreating and giving up on humanity. So yeah, I feel like a lot of us have felt that way. Stephanie saying, Leah, Mars is coming for you. I know it. I can feel it. I can feel Mars coming for you. For you. See, I can feel Mars coming for you, Stephanie. I can also feel Mars coming for me. Karen says, oh my God, I didn't realize others were feeling it so deeply as I was. Right. So we're here. We're in the right place. We are obviously talking about the right thing. Yeah, Leah 2.0 is on her way. Get ready. I think it's probably like Leah 20.0 though. There's been so many reinventions at this point. I'm going to be 46 this year. So I'm pretty sure we're working on Leah 20.0. Wow, you guys, so many comments. Thank you. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Now everyone's telling me their human design profiles, which is amazing. I do want to just say one more time for those of you that are watching on Facebook, we are doing an epic giveaway at the end of this live masterclass. So you have to be on Zoom in order to win. So if you're one of the 9 that are watching the Facebook group right now, come over to Zoom if you want to be considered for this giveaway, valued at $2,222. So you're going to want to do that. The link is in the featured link something in Facebook. Okay. So, where do we go now? I should do a time check and see how long that intro was, how long I rambled for. Oh, not too bad. 25 minutes. Where do we want to begin? Well, I think the first thing that I want to say is just a reminder. And that reminder is that you are a divine, immortal being of light. You are a soul that just happens to be residing in this physical miracle suit. I used to call it a meat vehicle, which I think it still is, but I like miracle suit a little bit better because I think human body is like one of the most incredible things ever. And I really truly believe that it is such a miracle that our soul can stay seated in this physical vessel and the way those two things interact together. That is a different masterclass, however. So we'll just leave it at, that the human body is a miracle. But you are infinite in nature. You are living a limited experience right now on this planet, in this 3D reality on planet Earth, inside this physical vessel. This miracle suit only has so much longevity. This is something that lots and lots of people in the world are working on. It's something that I am really, really passionate about, especially in my free time. It really is my passion to explore, what longevity looks like and how we can expand that limited experience that we have on this planet. But your soul is infinite in nature. You are an infinite being, and your soul is limitless, and your soul knows everything. So while the soul inside this physical vessel operating through this brain, right, may have ability to access knowledge and wisdom because of the experience that you're living in this 3D reality, your soul is infinite in nature and all-knowing. And so when I say to you, your soul always knows the answer, I really truly mean your soul always knows the answer. Your soul knows. And I see so often, and I think that this was one of the things that was really, really disheartening for me, was this outward sourcing of truth and wisdom and knowledge that we've seen over the last couple of years with humanity. This willingness to just surrender our free will, to surrender our ability to think for ourselves, to surrender our sovereignty to our governments and our financial institutions and organizations and our regulatory bodies and agencies, because you have all the answers inside of you. And sometimes we need some prompting to find where we go to get that answer. It's great to work with mentors that inspire us, that can help kind of shine the light in some of those areas that we're not able to see yet. We have the answers. Your soul has the answers. So as we're talking about everything that we're talking about, I'm going to give you some tips. I'm going to give you some tools. I'm going to share with you my experience of how I've moved through this over the last couple of months. But ultimately, this is your journey. And what I would ask that you do is that you take this information that I'm going to give you tonight, but that you really make it your own, that you use the parts that feel really, really aligned for you. And you onboard those and you take those into your life and you begin actioning them. And the things that, are like, oh, I kind of like that, but I feel like maybe it would be better for me if I switched this part and did that. Please do that. And if there's stuff where you're like, she's up in the night and I do not want to do that, leave that, right? Take what serves you, leave the rest. But no matter what, make this your own. And no matter what, don't allow me to just dictate what you're going to do. You are the most powerful creator in your reality. You are the master of your universe. Your soul knows everything it already needs to know to help you on this journey, to help you evolve as a being on this planet. So this masterclass is really just designed to be inspiration. And so I hope you leave this time we're spending together tonight inspired. So I just kind of wanted to say that because I feel like it's really important that you not be listening to me and think I'm going to give you some magic pill to radically transform your life. I think everything I'm going to tell you tonight, if onboarded, will help you transform your life. But you can't just do it the way I do it. That won't work for you, right? You can't just carbon copy me in my life. First of all, I don't think anyone would actually probably like to live my life besides me. It becomes more and more apparent that I'm a little bit of a freak of nature. Most people think how I live and how I operate and the way I do things is a little bit strange. But you should go out and live your best life and take these tools and take this inspiration to reignite your soul fire and to light fire under your ass and to point you in the direction that you desire to go, that your soul deeply desires to go. So it's inspiration. Yeah, I love that, Karen. Inspiration in spirit. So true. So true. All right. So
the last 2 years have been filled with a lot of fuckery. Yeah. So I curse like a sailor. If you don't like people who swear, you probably want to turn this masterclass off now. But the last few years have been, just filled with a lot of control, a lot of manipulation. And I think if you have any type of concern or care about humanity and the collective, it would be difficult to not feel disheartened by what's been happening. There's 44 people watching, which is my favorite number. So I love that. Well, 44 on the Zoom. There's 7 on Facebook that are ruining it because they're ruining the number. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But everyone on Facebook, come over to the Zoom so that you can have an opportunity to win our giveaway that we're giving away later in the call. I just think that it would be really difficult to not be frustrated, to not be disheartened by what's been happening, and to not have given up a little hope in our ability as a species to evolve. It's been disheartening. So if you're feeling that way, if you're still feeling that way, I'm still feeling that way a little bit, honestly. I'm coming out of it, but I am feeling that way. So just know that obviously, I mean, just from the comments here tonight, there's a lot of other people that are feeling the same way. So I think that one of the most important things that we can be doing on a daily basis, and for me, it's really interesting because I work with energy so much. So I'm an emotional clearing practitioner. I co-founded with my friend, Michelle Patrick, incredible emotional clearing modality called emotional resonance clearing. I literally am working with energy all day, every day. And I like to feel like I have really good energetic boundaries in place, especially when it comes to taking on other people's energy. I am, like I said, a 5/1 in human design, a projector. I have only 2 defined centers, my throat and my spleen. Everything else is wide open or undefined. And so it really is quite easy for me to take on energy from others. But I have practiced and done so much spiritual hygiene and energy work over the years that, for the most part, it's like, I don't even have to be conscious about protecting my energy. It just is. I also have a pretty strong spiritual team around me, including a really powerful lineage of ancestors. I had an incredible reading by one of my clients this week, and she was like, you just have so many people around you. Like, you have so many people on your spiritual team. And she's like, and then she also said I had so many animals. Fascinating. I need to go back and listen to the reading again. Nat, are you on here? I think she's probably on here. Natalie, incredible ERC practitioner, did this next level reading for me this week. But yeah, so, energy protection is not necessarily something that I'm doing a lot anymore because I've done so much of it and I have really good energetic boundaries in place. But one of the things that I realized as I was trying to find myself again through this sludge and muck that I've been wading through over the last 6 months, I realized that I was waiting in this collective energy, that I had taken on some of this heaviness of the collective. And so I ended up having to go back to rigorous discipline in practicing that spiritual hygiene, the actual disconnecting of my energy from the collective energy. And I think I would imagine that many of you that are watching the masterclass have worked with a lot of energy or have done a lot of energy work or have had a lot of energy work done to you. And many of you are practitioners, just as I'm looking through the list of people. But this is something I think that we forget and we take it for granted. This has made a huge difference for me. Daily practice, sometimes 2 times a day, depending on how I'm feeling, of disconnecting from the collective energy. Really, one of the things that I do, because I'm super passionate. I've mentioned it 3 times now, so I'm sure you can assume that I'm very passionate about human design. One of the things for me is like scanning, doing body scans, energetic body scans on myself and any of my open or undefined centers, very consciously discharging energy that's not mine from those centers, and chakra clearing and aura clearing and, different energy ley lines and grid lines that are in my body, my Merkaba field, my blue diamond fields. So I have done a lot of energy work in my life. And so going through a daily process of disconnecting from that collective energy has done a lot to shift things for me. And I just, recognize and realize right now that the heaviness in the collective, that it is so powerful, that collective energy, it is so intense, that collective energy right now, that even those of us that are very practiced in managing our own energy and the energy of others, even those that are, working day to day in energy environments with clients and, we've established really good energetic boundaries, that stuff is actually affecting us. Like, I don't care if you're Gandhi or Jesus Christ, like the energy in the collective right now is affecting everyone. So this would be the thing that I would say, if you took nothing else away from this masterclass tonight, this going back to basics, going back to, separating what energy is yours from what energy is the collective or what energy is others. If you just did that on a daily basis, I think that you would begin to be able to it would be easier for you to access inspiration. It would be easier for you to feel good about the work that you're meant to be doing in the world. Because I think that just the heaviness of the collective has been seeping in. And so I can't stress enough how important I believe that disconnecting from collective energy is. And, once a day, before you go to bed, or, for me, it's like before I go to bed, or if I'm feeling anxious during the day, if I start feeling myself getting overwhelmed, if I start feeling myself getting anxious, it's like, oh yeah, it's time to discharge that energy. So that's kind of like first tip. And there's so many ways to do that. I could literally sit here and list all these ways that you can do it, but I mean, literally just go Google it. There's so many ways to do this. And if you're watching this and you're just like, I really just don't know how to do this, Leah, reach out to me. You can send an email to support@theleahsteele.com and we can send you some of my favorite ways to do that. I don't want to take the time on this call to do that, but if you do need some suggestions on ways to clear your energy or disconnect your energy from the collective, just shoot an email to support@theleahsteele.com and we'll send you some of my favorite ways. But there is no right or wrong way to do this. It's just really the point of doing it, right? Okay. Let's talk about this energy that's coming in right now. As I mentioned, we are getting ready to transition in today. It's actually today. Wow. It's today here. Tomorrow, if you're in, it's kind of here. It's kind of there. But the 10th of May is when Jupiter enters Aries. So Stephanie's like, it's already here. So Jupiter has now entered into Aries. For me, if I had to encapsulate what I think this energy is in one word and what I believe that we're going to be experiencing from now, May 10th, to October 27th or 28th, depending on where you live in the world. So May 10th to October 22nd, 28th, you've got a good chunk of time in this energy to take advantage of this. But if I had to encapsulate this in one word, it would be emergence, like the emerging, right? And I really do feel like there's been a lot of this retreat energy. It's been a reset for me. It was a reevaluation of my whole entire life over the last 6 months. And now it's like all of a sudden, this new version of me is emerging. So it's like the emergence, I really believe it's like the emergence is upon us. Like that's like, it's like a reckoning, but instead of a reckoning, it's like the emergence. And I really do believe that what we're going to see is this beautiful emergence of all of these incredible people that are here to help and heal planet in the world right now. I feel like we've all had a little bit of a retreat. We've all had a little bit of a reevaluation. Many of us have been, filled with doubt and concern and confusion. But I really feel like the beauty of this energy, the beauty that this energy is bringing is this emergence energy. But it's also going to push us out. It's going to push us out of this retreated place that we've been existing in. This energy is about pioneering things. It's, Aries energy is the energy of the individual first and foremost. So we're moving out of collective energy and back out of this Piscean kind of collective energy into individual energy. We're moving back into a place where we can reclaim our sovereignty, which I think is vitally important on this planet right now. It's the energy of Aries energy is the energy of leadership. Like it's, what are you here? What are you meant to be pioneering in the world? It is time for you to step into that and go out and lead your community, lead your collective, lead your family, like stop hiding in the shadows, step out of this like very murky energy and into the role that you were always meant to play. And it is this Jupiter and Aries energy is very much energy of taking risks. And I feel like we've been in this, like being very, very cautious, very, very careful, energy for a while, a long while. But that's over now. So it's time to take risks. The only caveat I'm going to give you in this is not during Mercury retrograde, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But it's time to take risks. Like this energy, this Jupiter in Aries, Jupiter is the planet of expansion. This energy wants you to grow exponentially. This energy wants you to step fully into your sovereignty. This energy wants you to reignite your fire and step out into the world in that leadership role that you were designed to have, that you were designed to take. And each one of us is a leader. And so if you're sitting there being like, oh, well, I'm not a leader or I'm not meant to be a leader, every single one of us is meant to lead in one way or another in our lives. So one of the things I would ask for you to take away from this and reflect on is, like, where does your leadership role exist? What are you meant to lead? Who are you meant to lead? Where are you meant to lead? And really tap into that, because it's beautiful energetic planetary support of you stepping into that over the next 6 months. So one of the things that, if you are interested in astrology, and we're not going to go too deep into this because literally we could probably do a 10-hour masterclass on this, but is to look at your natal chart and find where Jupiter is in your natal chart and to find where you may have Aries energy. So anywhere that you have Aries energy, and if you've got planets in Aries, looking at what those planets are and looking at where Jupiter is in your astrological chart, what house it's in, what sign it's in. And those are areas where you are going to feel this energy. It's areas where you're going to feel inspired. It's energies where you're going to grow and expand. And it's also areas where you're going to find challenges arise over the next several months. Growth and expansion always comes on the other side of challenge or obstacle. And for me, like, I've really learned to embrace challenges and obstacles because I know that there is tremendous expansion on the other side of that. So look at that and have an awareness around, okay, so, if, let's say, Jupiter in your chart resided in your second house of resources, right? You might be like, oh, there's tremendous opportunity for me to have great expansion right now over the next 6 months when it comes to my resources, but I'm also probably going to have some challenges around resources. So just so that you're aware of it, that when the challenge arises, you don't get discouraged or defeated. You go, there's the lesson. There's the lesson coming in from Jupiter. So now what do? Well, I show up, I pioneer, I take risks. I double down on the positive energy that's coming from this transit, and know that there's tremendous growth and expansion on the other side of whatever this lesson is. So definitely take a look at that. There are so many people that can help you with this, but the one thing that can help you tremendously is Google. So, we all have this incredible resource at our fingertips. So pull your natal chart. There's a million places you can do that online as well. And look and find where Jupiter is in your chart, what house and what astrological sign, and look at Aries in your chart and look and see if you've got any planets there in Aries and what house Aries is in your chart, and just really look at your specific natal chart so that you can really take advantage of this expansive energy of Jupiter in Aries. So that is my second tip for you to take advantage. The thing that's going to help you reignite your soul fire. This energy is huge and powerful. All of the astrological people in my life, the people that read charts and that are really, really into astrology, have been very excited about this energy coming. Perhaps the most powerful, some are saying perhaps the most powerful energy of the year is this, when it comes to expansion. So it's not something you want to sleep on. It's definitely something that you want to take advantage of. Okay, so I think that we will move into Mercury retrograde next, since we're talking about astrological transits. Yeah, so look up the house. Look up what the meaning of the house. Just looking at that is going to help you understand how you can grow and expand and what the potential challenges are going to be. Yes, many of us, people our age, Kristen, have Chiron in Aries. So we have our wounded healer in Aries as well. So, the interesting thing about Chiron in Aries, right, is that it is our wounded healer. By this point, if you're our age, by this point, we're pretty familiar with what our wounds are, what the wounds are that we came to this planet with. But Chiron in Aries is also, it is the call to our healer, to step into our healer. And this Jupiter in Aries energy is like, it's time. It's time for the healers to heal. It's time for the healers to step up and lead. It's time for the healers to actually do what they came to this planet to do. And we are a generation of healers because of that placement. So yeah, that part. Get out there and start seeing your ERC clients. Kristen, I'll call you out on this masterclass. Okay. Shall we talk about Mercury retrograde? Okay. So also today, May 10th, June 3rd. So we have now Jupiter entering Aries. On this same day, we also have Mercury retrograde happening. Okay. Mercury retrograding in Gemini. It will be in Gemini and it will be in Taurus. So what do I need to tell you about this? First and foremost, that risk-taking bit that I was talking about during Jupiter and Aries, please do not do that for the next 3 weeks. I'm going to give you a little bit of a plan for the next 3 weeks of ways that I really think that you can take advantage of this energy while still taking advantage of the Jupiter and Aries energy. And that's going to really prepare you to step out of this Mercury retrograde with your fire ignited and ready to go out and tackle purpose and passion and implement and action all these things, these other things that we're going to be talking about tonight. So May 10th, today through the 22nd, Mercury is going to be in Gemini. This is a little bit tricky. This is going to be a difficult period of time. And I'm just going to straight up say that. I'm actually going to just knock on wood a little bit right now that the rest of this technology is going to run smoothly today. Because Gemini rules communication. And as you know, Gemini is all about communication. as you know, Mercury retrograde, Mercury also about communication. So these days that we have here, May 10th to the 22nd, like just expect communication failures, expect issues, expect that if it's a way that you communicate, whether it's your telephone, whether it's your computer, that things are going to be glitchy. Give yourself a little bit of extra time if you have a Zoom call. I'm literally just saying this for myself. Give yourself a little bit of extra time if you have a Zoom call. Make sure that, it's just like, and I've already been seeing this with clients, like even in the pre-shadow period, it's like the client's audio doesn't work on their Zoom and we can't figure out what's going on. Like these things are just going to happen. The more you can roll with it and not get frustrated, the better off you're going to be, but expect to experience that. The biggest thing during this period of time, the 10th through the 22nd, is there is going to be widespread misinformation happening across this planet. You're going to see it everywhere. You're going to see it in the media. It's just, things are going to be misinterpreted. Massive misinformation is going to be being spread planetary wide. Not that that's going to be any different than the last 2 years, but even more, I would say. So it's really, really important that when you are communicating, you are saying what you mean and you are meaning what you say, and that you are being very, very clear and concise in your communication. Written communication, spoken communication, there's going to be a lot of misunderstanding. So cut people some slack as well. When miscommunications are happening, cut people some slack. People are going to misinterpret you. You're going to misinterpret other people. It's a really great time to like recapitulate to people what they're saying to you so that you make sure that you understand what they're saying. So it's like, they're saying something to you and you're literally saying, okay, what I heard you say was this. Is that correct? Especially when it comes to business dealings. It goes without saying, like, we don't sign contracts during Mercury retrograde. So definitely wait until after June 3rd to sign any contracts. But it's just, remember that this communication piece, particularly the 10th of May through the 22nd, is going to be a big deal. So during this first week of Mercury retrograde, the thing that I believe that you can do that is going to give you the greatest impact during this Mercury retrograde is to revisit your messaging. Because you've got this energy of Gemini, and Mercury retrograde is actually a really, really beautiful time. It gets a bad rap because people get frustrated. They get frustrated with breakdowns in communication and issues with travel and, all the other things that come along with Mercury retrograde. But when we use this energy to our advantage, it's actually really powerful. So right now, it's like all the re's. Mercury retrograde's all the revisit, rework, reframe, rewire, renew. Can be a beautiful period of time, these 3 weeks, where we can reevaluate what's working in our life and what's not, where we can actually slow down and take a look at what's serving us and what's not. So this first week, while we've got Mercury retrograding in Gemini, for me, it's a beautiful time to revisit your messaging. So looking at, who is it that you're speaking to? Who is your target audience? And it doesn't mean that you just have to have one, right? You may have several, but if you feel like your message, and this is me, like I've felt like my message just hasn't quite been landing. Like I feel like we're writing epic copy and I'm writing epic posts and doing live streams and putting out great content, but it's like somehow the message just isn't quite landing. So this week for me, or this first week, is really going to be about revisiting my message and making sure that I'm actually speaking to the pain points of my audience, the people that need to hear what I have to say, the people that need the work that I'm doing in the world. Like, am I actually reaching them? Am I actually saying the things that they need to hear? Am I actually communicating with them in a way that they're going to be able to receive it? So, revisiting messaging. Like that is the thing I believe in this first week is going to be the most powerful thing you can do to help you once we move out of this phase to get out there and put your work back into the world and put yourself back into the world, reignited and re-inspired. Week 2, I would say the 10th through the 16th, focus on revisiting the message, right? 17th through the 23rd. This week is wrap up this messaging piece and begin to start looking at your belief systems and your finances. Because on the 22nd, Mercury retrogrades in Taurus. And so with this, we're going to be really, really aware of where we have issues with authority figures. Nobody's going to want to be told what to do. You're going to see everyone's stubbornness, everyone's frustration. Everyone's going to want to be heard. Everyone's going to have all the words to say about all the things. Still misinformation, miscommunication happening. But this week is a really powerful time to look at your belief systems, in particular, your belief systems around finances. This is my arena and my area, so I'm super excited about this. I'm super pumped that we're going to be, really just diving into my new wealth repatterning program, Alchemical Wealth, as this is happening, because it's astrologically couldn't be a better time to deconstruct beliefs and patterns around money, wealth, abundance, finances, currency. So, but this is a place where for you, this is what I would focus on. I would focus on looking at what your beliefs are around the work that you're meant to do in the world, what your beliefs are around what compensation is supposed to look like for you in the work that you're doing. And it's a really, really incredible opportunity to just deconstruct all that shit and step into limitlessness, right? Like, remember, you're an infinite, limitless being, and you deserve to be wildly financially compensated for the work that you're doing in the world. So it's important to look at these beliefs and the limitations that you're placing on yourself, in particular around your finances. So that's what you're going to be doing week 2, which will be the 16th through the 23rd, and then continue that into the next week. So it's kind of like you've sort of got the middle week, sort of an overlap week. So you're revisiting your message, you're continuing to bring that into the second week. As the second week starts, you're looking at your beliefs around finances. And then you're taking that beliefs around finances into the third week. And the third week is all about reworking your business, reworking your life, reworking what's not working, right? To prepare for return to forward momentum the following week. So, this is for me where I have a lot of irons in the fire right now. I have a lot of things that I want to do. I have a lot of projects that I've started. And this week 3 for me is going to be a real evaluation of what of these things are going to be executed in 2022. And one of them I'm throwing out the window because I don't want to do them anymore. What are going to be put on the docket for next year? And what are the things that I really want to focus on for the balance of 2022? And then what of those things that I want to focus on for the balance of 2022 need to be reworked, and how do they need to be reworked? How do they need to be reworked so that they're in full alignment with who I am and who I desire to be? And how do they need to be reworked so that they're igniting passion and purpose in me? So that's your 3-week Mercury retrograde plan. Any questions about that? Next, we're going to move into some of the ways that I feel like are really important. Some of the things I think are really important for you to be doing to reignite this soul fire and reignite this flame. I feel like I've kind of given you like this skeleton and these bones, and now we're going to go fill it in with some meat. It is a lot. I told you guys that this was going to be super content heavy, but you can come back and watch it again. And I know you're taking lots of notes, but you have this. It's forever content for you guys. And so you can come back and revisit it. And you're probably going to want to come back and watch it a few times, so that you make sure that you get everything. Yeah. Revisiting message, like all of this. It's so like, it's going to be a powerful Mercury retrograde, especially if you just decide to take advantage of the time. I always say like, oh, I'm just going to take the 3 weeks of Mercury retrograde off and then just really focus on this stuff. And then of course I never do it. But I feel like the more time you can make for yourself over these 3 weeks to do this stuff, you're going to be so happy you did at the end of the 3 weeks. Like you really, really are. Have an amazing rest of your day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world as you are watching this call or you are catching the replay. Remember, it is your divine birthright to be wealthy in all areas of your life. And you are so worthy and you are so deserving. Thanks for being here.
That's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to connect with me on social media and reach out. I love hearing from you. And if you want more of me, real, raw, and uncensored, make sure to join the Wealth Witch Telegram channel. It's my free channel where I share all of my random daily musings as well as the information that I feel like is important and pertinent to my community. We've put a link to the Telegram channel in the show notes, so make sure to come join us over there if that intrigues you. Remember, wealth is a mindset, and you are the most powerful creator in your reality. Until next time, this is the Wealth Witch signing off.